to Societal, Parental, and Personal Pressure on Millennials. I'm Lauren Gooding.
I'm Jessica Bernard.
I'm Emma Bauer.
And this is
Crash Course.
Pressure!
Knock knock. Who's there?
Pressure.
Pressure who?
Pressure out to the keyhole, and then you'll know. Pressure is a serious and increasingly problematic issue in society today. It seems that somehow these pressures have drastically increased through time, especially for millennials. One of the main reasons for this drastic increase is because of our change in values. Millennials started valuing competition and materialism, which had an impact on the amount of pressures and what kind of pressures we now face. This has caused school to become a huge priority in our society, especially since we have a lot more access to information. We value education and schooling so that we can eventually get into a great college and earn a job that brings lots of money. First comes first, societal pressure. When people think about pressure put on kids, this is one of the first things that they think about. A prime example of this is our good old pal Al from the classic Disney tale Aladdin. Aladdin, because of his lack of parental guidance, has to learn to fend for himself. This includes finding a way to get his own food, stealing it, and finding money, which he doesn't do. He makes the conscious decision to pursue a life of crime over proper morals. This shows how he was pressured by society to grow up because the law is constantly on his metaphorical monkey tail. Aladdin has to learn to take responsibility for his actions, which in his case means running away, finding magical golden lamp, and a hot girl. He also finds Genie and chooses his own path once again. He chooses to appear wealthy because that is society's version of success. According to Sophia A. McClellan, young people are having to face student debt, a hostile economy, a highly polarized society, strained race relations, and increased academic pressures. This shows just how much pressure our society puts on millennials today. The kids affected by movies created in the 90s, like Aladdin. These days, teens have many more opportunities and decisions, which can often be a really good thing by encouraging confidence and ambition. However, this freedom does have a downside. It puts a much greater pressure for teens to succeed in all aspects of their life. Nearly half of all teens have been known to struggle with school stress and pressure. Typically, it's okay to have a little stress, but school stress has increasingly intensified from previous generations. According to Denise Clark Pope, pressure by parents and schools to achieve top scores has created stress levels among students, beginning as early as elementary school. They're so high that some educators regard it as a health epidemic. We not only just receive this greater amount of pressure, but we are also left believing and attempting to gain the success instantly. This can make people become unmotivated and discouraged as they begin to find out that they're in for a lot more work and time than they originally planned for. This false reality is often created because of the vast majority of young celebrities nowadays. Because most people's main drive is to be successful and to make a good income, the paradox of pushing kids to succeed says our teens are embedded in a culture driven by competition and perfectionism, where success is defined by status and performance by appearance. These values are transmitted to our children non-verbally through our emotional state and through what we notice, are impressed with, and praise or discourage them. This is what pressure does. Whoa! It's time for the open letter. Oh, yeah. Dear elders, I realize all you want is what's best for us, but we do need some space. You say you value our freedom, but then you don't set us free. You want what's best for us, but can't seem to get over the insignificant grade drop. By wanting what's best for us, You always seem to end up intensifying the stress amidst trying to help. Maybe if there was some way that you would allow us more freedom, you could help ease our stress. For pressure's sake, you can just ease up a little. Best wishes, John Gray. One of the biggest problems with parents nowadays is that they don't leave their kids alone and just let them be kids. They expect to get the perfect grades or be the perfect child, which in turn is leading the kids of this generation to have anxiety, depression, and other mental illnesses that they are struggling with on a day-to-day basis. This pressure is exemplified in The Little Mermaid when Triton says, "Do you think I'm too hard on her? Ariel needs constant supervision." Or, "I just don't know what we're gonna do with you, young lady." This is showing how tough he really is on her. According to the American Psychological Association, teens routinely say that their school year stress levels are far higher than they think is healthy, and their average reported stress exceeds that of adults. They also found that 30% of teens reported feeling sad or depressed because of the stress, and an additional 31% felt overwhelmed. Another 36% said that stress makes them tired, and 23% said they've skipped meals because of stress. On average, teens reported that their stress level was a 5.8 on a 10-point scale. That's over half. It's even starting from ages of kindergarten. The causes of childhood stress are numerous. One of the most commonly noted is standardized test stress, which starts in first grade in many states. Students in a certain grade must pass these tests to advance to the next grade. In Florida, children as young as 8 years old face the prospect of being held back if they fail this test. Whether you are for them or against them, high-stakes tests create stress. The other shocking factor is that children are struggling, yet parents aren't noticing. One survey found that 1 in a 5 of children reported they worry a great deal or a lot, but only 3% of parents rate their children's stress as extreme. In addition, almost 30% of children worried about their family's financial difficulties, but just 18% of parents thought that was a source of worry for their children.
You better get a 36 on the ACT tomorrow, or you won't get into college.
I already have 9 hours of homework and tonight and all the lessons in soccer practice. How am I supposed to study?
Tell that to your future student debt, Missy.
Millennials are putting more pressure on themselves to be as successful as possible, especially in the workforce. Figures from the government's career service show 1 in 6 of their emails and telephone inquiries came from people aged 15 and under in the 4 months to June, up to 4% on the same period last year. Many people believe that millennials are our laziest generation, but it's totally arguable and really is quite the opposite. It's common for the generation of youngsters to put more pressure on themselves in the workplace than other generations, which leads to more stress. Because, as we all know, work sure is stressful. Rachel Ritlop claims millennials are 13% more likely to feel stress in their work and life compared to more balanced employees, and 20% more likely to feel stress at home.
I'll never be successful. These expectations due to societal pressure are too high.
Welcome to the conclusion, because we live in Columbus, get it? It's Columbus, conclusion. Okay, anyway. Teens report that their stress level during school exceeds what they think to be healthy and surpasses adults' average reported stress levels, 5.8% for teens versus 5.1% for adults. Even during the summer, they think it tops what is healthy. Many teens also report feeling overwhelmed, depressed, or sad as a result of stress. According to Bethune, more than 1/3 of teens report fatigue or feeling tired, and nearly 1/4 of teens report skipping a meal due to stress. Despite the impact that stress appears to have on their lives, teens are more likely than adults to report that their stress level has a slight or no impact on their body or physical health. That's 54% of teens versus 39% of adults. Or their mental health, which is 52% of teens versus 43% of adults. From kindergarten through high school, the causes of childhood stress are copious. High-stake tests are particularly stressful for students and teachers alike. Students in certain grades must pass these tests to advance to the next grade. The Little Mermaid, Matilda, and Aladdin all demonstrate these problems in the worst ways. Aladdin has to grow up because of his role in society. In Matilda, she puts pressure on herself to grow up because her parents are not nurturing. Ariel has pressure from her dad to grow up and marry a merman and be the perfect princess for his kingdom. Are kids having to grow up quicker? Is that what is wrong with our society today? With their parents working long hours away from home, many youngsters are leaving school from an empty house after eating breakfast alone, then picking up fast foods or frozen meals for dinner. Almost without exception, the principals and teachers I spoke with describe a persuasive loneliness among tweens. That is from Heimowitz. Adults' competitive world has invaded childhood. Children's schedules are so bad that they are having to live with a lot of stress. Parents are expecting their kids to have responsibilities like adults should have. In cases like this, to cope well with these schedules, to multitask, and to prioritize time. Today, in this very informative crash course video, you learned how society pressures millennials, how parents pressure millennials, how millennials pressure millennials, and how to see these pressure in 90s films such as Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, and Matilda. This has been Crash Course. Howdy, y'all!
I'm holding